So, welcome back to another tutorial. In today's tutorial, I want to focus on getting the perfect eyebrow. There's so much emphasis at the minute on eyebrows, eyebrow shaping, eyebrow technique. There's lots of different styles of eyebrows. I find myself more and more asking clients when they come in to have their makeup done, how do you wear your eyebrows? Do you wear them strong? Do you wear them shaped? Do you wear them very, very soft? And there's lots of different, it's personal preference really. I think whenever you get away from having them squared off and, you know, looking like they've been put on with a black marker, everything else is kind of okay. But there's a few things that I want to point out that hopefully mold your eyebrows into a better shape. For me, it's about making sure the shape really complements your overall eye shape, that you try to always have the eyes looking open, because if the brows are right, if the brows are right, then everything else will just naturally fall into place. So Carrie is here today as my next model, and I want to really focus on her brows. So the first thing that you need to realize is which is your stronger side to your face. We all have it. We all have a stronger side and a weaker side. And as makeup artists, or as you doing your own makeup, if you don't realize which is your weaker and which is your stronger side, you'll find it much more difficult to try and balance both sides of the face. As a makeup artist, I have to look at every face that I do makeup on and work out the stronger side to the weaker side. So for example, this is Carrie's stronger side here. Notice how the arch of her brow is more risen here and much lower here. So what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that I can't overdraw the top line of her brow, because I'm going to bring this up even further, which is going to create a bigger line of disproportion between both sides. The same way on this side, I need to try and rise this up more to try and be more in line with the other side. Where should your eyebrows start? Well, for me, if you roughly pushed in at the side of the nose, it should start just there. That's where it should start. The main thing for me, which makes a massive difference whenever I look at people's eyebrows, is this intersection. A lot of people have too much hair that comes too low under the beginning of the eyebrow. And that's what can make the eyebrow look very, very, oh, cross, oh, happy. And you get to have so much more lightness brought in. You're increasing the area that you have to apply your makeup on. And where should your eyebrows finish? Well, this varies from application to application. And by that, I mean, roughly, if you're taking your brush and bringing it through the edge of your eye, that's roughly where the eyebrow should finish, just here. But in saying that, sometimes I'll take the eyebrows slightly higher at the end, and that would be if I was going to extend the eye makeup going out. Sometimes I'll want to bring it down in order to make the eyebrows look a little bit more rounded with the eye makeup. Sometimes you want to make it quite short, a little bit shorter than that, especially if I'm doing big flicks on the eyes. So it can vary from person to person, but those are roughly your dimensions. Your arch of your brow should start to rise from the center of your iris, just about there. But you have to work out as well where the length from the beginning of the brow to the arch of the brow needs to try and be as close as possible to both sides. Yes, they're never going to be identical, but it's our job to try and make the line of symmetry as close as humanly possible. So the first thing I want to do with Carrie's eyebrows is I'm going to take some brow gel, just clear brow gel, comb the eyebrows up and comb them into place. This helps me just see the eye line that a little bit easier. If you comb your eyebrows straight up and they're going over the edge, what I sometimes do for a client, I'll just literally cut across just to sharpen up the edge of the brow line. So do the same to the other side. Don't let the brows dictate to you. You dictate where you feel that they need to be brought. Okay, great. Next, I'm going to, I personally prefer to use powder as opposed to pencil, because I suppose I've got into the habit of teaching my clients to use powder, because I find if they haven't used anything really on their brows, it's much easier to ease them into just filling their brows in with a powder as opposed to a pencil. So I'm going to take the brow book here from Senna. I'm going to take a medium tone first of all, working that into the back of my hand. I've put a little bit of the wax on the brush as well, and here at the beginning I'm bringing that through underneath. So this is called a baseline to your eyebrow. Bring it from underneath, right through to the arch, and stopping at the arch. And going slightly past where the bulk of her hair is, because I want to create a softer beginning, which you'll see me do later on. So let's do the same to the other side. Can you notice on the other side, Carrie's eyebrow starts a little bit further away from her nose, so I need to bring that a little bit closer. But I need to keep this line, if I was to draw this line straight across her nose to the other side, so I need to try and keep them as close as possible. Yes, they won't be identical, but I need to observe that when I'm working it in. Bringing that through. Okay, don't worry about the random line with no hair there, we'll sort that later on. The next thing I want to take is fill the top line of the eyebrow. I don't want to start in the same place as the bottom, because that's instantly going to square the brows off. Start a little bit further out this way and a little bit further this way. So with that, even before I start to draw that line, let's mark out the arch, the highest point. So we'll press it here for the arch. Let's see how far we can bring the arch on the other side. Right up to there. So at least you have a guide point, as in the two arches are much more risen. There's only so much I'm prepared to rise the arch, because then what's going to happen is this brow is going to get way thicker compared to the other side, and I don't want that either. It's going to increase the thickness of it. So from the beginning of the brow, let's bring your top line into that arch. Now see how it blends up? Let's do the same to the other side. Each time I'm doing that as well, I'm pressing the brush to make sure it's really nice and sharp. I think if the bristles are not in line with each other, it starts to create that fuzzy sort of brow. And I find as well, when I'm working with new students, they tend to do it in very small strokes. And again, you're losing that sharpness that I think you need with the brow. And again, they start to look quite fuzzy looking. Just go over your line until you're happy with the sharpness of it. Okay, then from the arch, we're going to bring that forward and round the corner. I'm going to round the arches. I tend to round the arches as opposed to point the arches, because I find it much softer to sort of bring it around the way. And then from that point, just follow through. And as Carrie needs, a lot of people are exactly the same. They need to extend the brow. Okay. Again, keep checking both sides to make sure your lines are as close to each other as possible. Then I'm going to take a really pale colour, a real blonde sort of eyebrow colour, and from the beginning of the brow, I'm just going to very gently flick up from it. This will create almost like a very soft ombre brow. Ombre brows are really huge on Instagram, and how ombre you can get your brows depends on the natural state of your brow. If you have a very coarse hair at the beginning of your brow, it's much more difficult. You need to almost tweeze some of the hairs away, so it naturally is sparse at the beginning of the brow. But by bringing it slightly past where the bulk of your hair is, you can at least try to get some sort of soft ombre going with it. And then what I want to do is just do wee tiny hair strokes, just at the very beginning. Just in the wee section that I brought in. Let's do the same to the other side. So the soft blonde, blending up. Take your time. I'm using the really edge of the angle brush to do this. Then your darker one for your wee hair strokes. Okay, so we've got most of the brow. Depends on the personality. Carrie is a makeup artist, so she likes her brows really defined. So what I'm going to do is then just strengthen the baseline of the brow even more to make it a little bit stronger. For some people, what I've done already is more than enough. So it's very much up to you how strong you want to push your brows. Next, just to give me a couple of extra brow hairs and to give me a little bit more sharpness, I'm using the Atelier palette. This can be used for cake liners, but it's also used as a brow palette as well. I like to wet the cakes because there's nice soft brown colours in it. And they're really, really good at doing wee hair flicks at the start. Again, I'm just going to use a little bit of it as well just to do my top and bottom line, just to make it a little bit stronger. Perfect. Then I want to go back to my brow gel and I just want to comb through, especially the start of the brow. Comb that through. You still need to be able to see the hair really clearly by the end of your filling your brows in. Can't look like you've just drew everything in. Still needs to be very evident that there's plenty of hair there. Perfect. Now next I want to sharpen the brows up. So Carrie is using light beige from Makeup Studio in the Face of Light foundation today. So I'm taking some of that foundation on an angle brush and I'm going to highlight her brows from the top. So by that I mean any sort of wee sparse hairs like that I want to get rid of and make it really sharp. From that, pull it back. Okay, so next I'm going to take some lighter concealer just to really sharpen under the brow as well. I'm using number 2 from Makeup Studio and we're going to start that at the beginning. So see all those little stray hairs, I want them just to go away. Pull it down and just with your finger just press it into place. So now that I've concealed both top and bottom to the brow, just at the beginning of the brow and ever so slightly I'm going to pull a clean wand through the beginning of the brow just to soften it even more. And there you have it. Nice, strong, slightly ombre brows, plenty of structure. Again, everybody doesn't have to have the same sort of level of structure. The brows are quite pronounced because there's no other eye makeup on. So if you're going to use a very nude eye makeup, then I suggest maybe going slightly lighter than this. You can use all of the same techniques, but vary the tone of it to suit you, to suit your hair colouring. If you're blonde, stick to the softer blondes, don't go as dark. Obviously as Carrie's dark, she can get away with the darker sort of tones to really sculpt. So, hope you enjoyed. Any problems with any questions or anything, drop us a line underneath. Thank you.